Yeah.
You give it all the big un. You say you're going to punch his head off so much and kick his head into the third row.
Yeah.
You give it all that. You got the T-shirt. You got all these people coming over to Germany to do a job, and you flop.
Yeah.
You're going to get the stick. In that last round, I hit him with a big shot, and he held. Oh, here we go. I've got him going now, and I'm really trying. He's holding, I'm pushing, I'm fighting. And that was it. Then there's the final bell, and I'm like, whoa. That's no good. This new Antony Joshua would have smoked the old Antony Joshua in 1 round.
Is that what you're saying?
Plain and simple.
Right. Because
this version, 1 round, 2 rounds max, he would have took him out.
This is Up Front with me, Simon Jordan. I believe there are a lot of vacuous, uninformed, unchallenged opinions out there. I want to get to the bottom line and cut through the nonsense. So on this podcast with William Hill, I'm going to get people with strong views who think they can stand them up under proper scrutiny. There's a good chance I might learn something along the way, but more importantly, so might you. Joining me in today's episode, someone you might call a boxing promoter's dream. Articulate, aesthetically pleasing, and carrying explosive power. With Usyk and Holyfield, he's one of only 3 men to have been a world champion at cruiserweight and heavyweight. His achievements are large, a career that perhaps promised more, but he's never been boring. The Haymaker, David Haye. Welcome to Up Front.
Good to be here.
Nice to see you, David.
Nice to see you always.
How about this for 7 degrees of separation? Your manager and trainer went to school with me, Adam Booth.
Small world.
Small world.
And here we are.
There's our bond.
There you go.
There's our segue into
it. We got it.
It's a lovely little relationship we're going to develop. David, when we do these conversations, one of the things that we try to evaluate, because the show's about you and your experiences and what made you. I love boxing.
Yeah.
I have a great deal of respect for it. Sometimes I'm blunt about it, and people might mistake my bluntness for a lack of respect, but it doesn't come from that position.
Say it how you see it.
Say it as I see it. And one of the things I always ask is, what's made the person that I now look at now? What was their why?
I think the sort of burning desire was for everybody to believe you're the best. Spain said when I was at school trying to do, when you do your 100 meters, I wanted to win. I always wanted people to feel that I was the best. Plain and simple. It's such a trivial thing in life to just, when you're a kid, want the accolade. You're great, you're good. I had a few fights where no one was around, and it felt like I was frustrated that there was no witnesses to see me do what I did. Mm-hmm. And I can go back and tell someone, how many times you heard someone in the pub saying, I did this, I knocked this guy. I hated that feeling. I needed people to watch me do what I did and to win in whatever it was that I was doing. And that's basically it. And obviously, my parents are both massive boxing fans. My whole family are boxing fans. None of them boxed.
Right.
But they love boxing. Boxing was the sport in my home. And obviously wanting to impress your parents, they're the biggest possible person was a 100-meter Olympic 100-meter sprinter and the heavyweight champion of the world. They would have
those were the two.
They were the idols in my household. You know, Linford Christie, Frank Bruno, Lennox Lewis, Muhammad Ali. Going back, Fraser, Foreman. That I saw that as the pinnacle.
Boxing is a unique sport to go into. It's a sport where you go in there knowing that you're potentially going to get hurt and you're going to hurt someone in doing it. And I always wondered, did it come from, because I can't, whilst I love the sport, I can't relate to the mindset of what it must be like to go in there to be on the receiving end of a smack in the mouth. I tried it once a few times, didn't like it very much.
I have a few
but not for me. But did it come from a position of anger and fury and wanting to break away from the opportunities in life that maybe weren't there for you? Was it to provide things that you didn't have? What was the driver?
There was none of that at all. I grew up in a 2-bedroom council flat, me, my brother, my sister, mum and dad, dog. That was never an issue at all. I never felt I was missing out on anything else or I wanted to box to get away from this life. Everybody else I knew was in the same situation, so there was nothing to aspire to. Right. And I said I wanted to be the heavyweight champion. After, I think I must have been like six or seven, I remember watching Rocky IV. Okay. And watching Rocky Balboa go to Russia to fight Ivan Drago. Mm-hmm. And he went out to the mountains and he's training in the snow. And I really connected with that. And then he goes over there onto foreign soil and beats Ivan Drago. And that for me, I said, I'm going to do that. This is it. And I do this manifesting thing where I just daydream. As a kid, I do it probably more than I do now. And that was my daydream going through this fight, always fighting a big Russian. Mm-hmm. and always beating them and to win the heavyweight title. And I just felt like I talked it into existence. I always understood or believed that life existence is a kind of a simulation or a game, and you can kind of do whatever you want and nothing really matters because it's a game. And I kind of live my life like
Except when you have
like
kids
that.
and it becomes a bit different, doesn't it?
Yeah, very different, very, very different. But I just enjoyed, I had a really fun, enjoyable childhood. Very strong male role model. My dad, grafter, panel beater and sprayer, fixing cars. He
was also involved in martial arts, wasn't he?
Yeah, he did martial arts.
Yeah.
So it was always kung fu movies on,
Right.
Jackie Chan and Bruce Lee. So it was combat in the household. It was boxing.
Your mum was a
and
librarian.
kung
She
fu.
read a lot.
Yeah, not that much. A little bit here and there, but it was a perfect kind of balance. It worked out.
Where
well.
was he? Ultimately, you start to get involved in boxing. Was your father a big influence in this? Was he a big pusher of you to want to do
He
it?
never pushed me ever. No, it was a lot of people fathers trying to get their son to do it. I was asking him before. I was asking for when I said 6, 7. I want to go and do boxing.
Yeah.
I went to did karate.
What was his reaction to that when you said it?
He said, "Yeah, wait. When you're 10 years old, you can.
Right.
When you're too young now, come with me to karate." So I did Shotokan karate from when I was, I can't remember, as long as I can remember. But it used to get very frustrating because you had to learn the katas and you're doing all
the disciplines,
the discipline, but you can't actually smash someone up. You can't bash someone up. And I liked that. I didn't get the feeling from karate that I got from a scrap at school.
Right. Okay.
And it was frustrating. So as soon as I was 10, I was allowed then to go to Fitzroy Lodge,
right,
amateur boxing club.
Was the reality of it matching the imagery that you had in your mind before you went there?
No, it was way harder.
Was it?
It was way harder.
In what way?
Because all of the fights up until then I had at school, primary school, it was like I'd hit them, they'd hit the floor, and it was over really quickly all the time, punching kids' teeth out, terrible stuff. But when I went to the gym, I had to spar with a kid who was way smaller than me, and I was like, "Oh, this kid's gonna get smashed." Yeah. And he had the skill set. He understood how to jab, how to move his feet, how to slip a punch and counter. And I'm just getting punched in the face, and I'm swinging, throwing haymakers over the top non-stop. And I remember thinking at the end of the sparring session, it's a sport. There's an art form to it, and you can either get it together or get punched in the face a lot. And I didn't enjoy getting punched.
You had what I would say is a pretty significant amateur career, and you came across someone that was quite influential, which was Adam Booth. What was the draw to Adam Booth for you?
Adam, at the time, he was teaching a course and on massage therapy and training personal trainers. And he came into the gym to help out and do massages for the kids. He also was working alongside Dean Powell.
The late Dean Powell.
The late great Dean Powell, lovely fellow.
He was indeed,
he was coaching Chris Oko at the time. So Adam was like his second, and they brought him down. They brought Chris Oko down the gym to spar with me, and at the time I think he was cruiserweight, and I dominate the spar. I wasn't surprised. In my mind, I was the best in the world in my head. I hadn't proven it because I haven't had enough fights to prove it, but in my head,
believed,
so I had zero fear. And Mick Carney, actually the manager of the Fitzroy Lodge, said, "Rob, do you want to start doing some work with Adam Booth, doing some pad work?" Because my style was kind of quite unorthodox. I had a low left hand. A lot of the time, everyone would go, "Keep your hands up, keep your hands up." Yeah, exactly. So I constantly was getting everybody. First thing they said, "Right, your hand's too low." I'm like, "Well, I just knocked this guy out in the first round." We talking about my hand positioning, and he comes down to the gym. We start doing some pad work together, and he starts kind of coaching me, and it felt like he understood,
connected with you,
why I did what I did. My hand positioning, just the stepping in, the slipping and countering basic stuff that he made very sort of palatable and easy for me to add on to what I was ordinarily doing.
Did you know, and was it universally accepted at that stage at 15, 16 years of age, as your amateur career starts to blossom, that you carried this sort of concussive power? Were you aware of the difference in the power that you had against the people that you were fighting?
Every single person I've ever been in a ring and sparred with or fought, I've all said,
"Fucking hell."
That either it was the hardest they've ever been hit, or I wasn't expecting that. And this is at cruiserweight and heavyweight. The one thing everybody had to respect with me is the power. And because they respected the power, it gave me that bit of gave me that bit of room to
Because
faint.
they're wary, yeah.
They're wary.
Yeah.
I've known that since I was 3 or 4 years old, when my dad used to get his mates, go, put your hand out. So I used to punch my dad's mates' hands, and all of them be like, I used to punch him right here. I used to have a little sweet spot right at my big knuckles, dug it in, and everyone was like, I can't believe this kid is producing that much power in a punch. And that's when you tell a kid you're great at something, you're just going to keep doing it
Absolutely.
more and more.
Adam described you genetically as perfect in lots of ways, but I'm curious to see where you were at sort of 16 years of age, because you yourself talked about being aware of your aesthetic appeal to ladies and getting involved with other sides of your life. You weren't a drinker, you were not a smoker, so none of that was part of it, but you were out being a bit Jack Dash and running around with girls and so on and so forth. And then you come up against, in the ABA semis, against
Jim Twite,
who does you in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
And Adam talks about the fact that you walked into an environment unprepared for it, thought you could just turn up and deal with this fella.
I was physically prepared. I wasn't mentally prepared.
Yeah. So where were you at that time? Was boxing for you, or were you on the wobble thinking, I've got other things I can do as well?
I wasn't on the wobble at all. I always knew what I wanted to do, but I thought I was good enough to do it all. I thought I could go out to a nightclub till 4 a.m. and then wake up 9 o'clock and go to Sunday morning training at 10 o'clock, because I could. I'd go down there on 3 or 4 hours sleep and smash everybody up in sparring, and then go home, get some sleep then, so I could get away with it, because when you're young, you can recover. And then it was Jim Twite, and he was a middleweight who'd gone up to heavyweight. So I'm in the ring with this guy, and I remember saying to my buddies, I'm gonna knock him out in the second round. And I'm going through the motions with him, and next thing you know, I'm looking up at the referee, and he's saying 7, 8, and the first thing was like, why are you starting at 7? I'm like, I get to my feet, and he goes, that's it, it's over. I'm like, first of all, my coach comes over, it's okay. I'm like, no, we started at 7. He goes, don't worry about it, it's okay. I was convinced the referee started at 7 until I watched the tape of me getting decked. I got up, fell down back on my face, then got back up, and that was the moment I realized I am mortal. It was like a really, really good wake up call for me, and it made me respect every opponent I got in the ring with.
When you won the silver, at a World Amateur Boxing Championships in 2001, did you win a silver in your mind, or did you lose a gold?
I lost the gold. 100% lost the gold.
Right.
In the World Championships, I was about 85 kilos. Yeah. And you're fighting guys who are at 91 kilos. I had 4 fights, 4 days. And in the finals against Elanio Fontesolis, very good Cuban. He beat Felix Savon twice. He's a very good fighter. And I thought I could beat him. I really thought. I nearly chinned him in the first round. It was a big uppercut, gave him a count. I didn't have the physical conditioning. I didn't have the toughness to hold it together and beat him, unfortunately. But after that fight, you put a brave face on it. Yeah, the first ever finalist from Britain ever since the World Championship started. So on paper,
you lost.
In paper, I just lost. Yeah. I just lost, and everyone said, "Oh, it's a great accolade," and it really hurt.
But your pro career starts very brightly, and your first 10 fights, I think you
all knocked out,
10 straight knockouts, and then you come up against Carl Thompson, and you come up against your first professional defeat. Can I ask you, just in retrospect, was that bad matchmaking?
No, it was the perfect matchmaking for me.
What?
Because there are different fighters. Because there are different fighters. You got fighters like Joe Calzaghe or Floyd Mayweather who can learn their lessons whilst winning, and then those who don't listen must feel. People might have been telling me what I needed to do, but unless I felt it myself, I won't make the difference. I won't make the changes required. So I needed a full humbling defeat where the referee gave me every chance to do it, and what I trained to do versus what I did in the ring, 2 completely different things.
Because you well done you were in control of the fight for the first 3 or 4 rounds.
I was in control, but I was in control using 12 rounds of energy in
a short space of time.
3 rounds.
Yeah.
I never trained to go out there and start blasting away.
Right.
If I would have trained to do that, I might have been okay. And when it came to Carl Thompson, although I'm a massive fan of him, always been a fan, my mum loves him. I said to my mum, yeah, I'm fighting Cole Thompson. She said, no, David, please, don't fight Cole Thompson. He's such a nice guy. I don't want you to hurt him. I'm like, don't worry, Mum, I'll make it quick. Don't worry. Anyway.
So much the better.
And if there was ever someone to give me a good on-arse whooping, he would have been the guy.
How'd you react to it?
Horribly. Once again, horribly. Because in the back of my mind, I knew, only after I got beat, I knew I had all these wristbands for the after party all set up, ready to go. The focus wasn't on holding the skill set and technique together and the strategy together. It was just, okay, I'm going to beat this old guy, and then we're looking at world title fights. Looking back, without taking that beating from Cole Thompson, I would have lost in my European fight against Jacob Fragomeni. Right. That was the hardest fight I'd ever trained for to go into. And it worked out because it was very, very tough. I literally tried to get him out there like I did in the Cole Thompson fight, but I had the energy for 12 rounds. And off the strength of that victory, I then get, I'm the number one. Yeah, I mean, you bounce back. I mean, but the bottom line is you bounce back after the Cole Thompson defeat. You change your outlook. You become more disciplined. You become more focused. You become more professional, right? Yeah. You also sign with Frank Maloney, and that then catapults you for 9 straight wins into your shots at the cruiserweight title. Jean-Marc Mormeck, yeah. And in that fight, you get knocked down in the 4th. Yeah. Does that take you anywhere back towards what happened with Cole Thompson? How are you mentally approaching that? I was comfortable as when Jim Twite knocked me out when I was 18 years old. Yeah. I stood back up and fell back down. And then I think it was my 4th fight, I fought a guy called Lengamok, and he hit me with a big overhand right, a real knockout shot, and literally ended me in I think it was the 1st or 2nd round. He put me down very, very heavy. And I remember as I went down thinking, don't jump up, because I did that a few years prior when I was 18. And so I learned that lesson. So I took the time, got up, and then he came back in. I grabbed him, wrestled him to the floor, crung some time. So this time round, when I'm in the world title fight, it's not a new thing for me. I've been knocked down twice before. And also me and Adam sounds crazy, we were preparing to be knocked down. Right. You know, because when you're fighting someone so short and up close, the shots he throws, you don't normally see sometimes. A lot of the fights where you stop people or hurt people, it's like you throw a combination and throw a shot over the top and catch him on the temple or around the back of the head. And coincidentally, in the fight, 4th round, I'm decked. I remember thinking, oh, fuck, I've practiced for this. I looked at Adam. Adam was like, yeah, we both knew that. And so I gave a little nod. Now, I've lost a round. Let's just get through the round. Yeah. And it got through the round. And the game plan was, you know, throw as few punches in the first 6 rounds as possible without taking as much damage, and to land as many good body shots. I want to try and take as much out of him with as few punches as possible. And from round 7 was when I was supposed to start punching now. So now I know I've got 12. And you did? I did. So I thought, okay, this is it. We've got to start pushing up from here, and knocked him out in that round. You stopped him. Did you think at the time that you got the sort of recognition that you could have got for the achievement of taking out the big noise? I wasn't one of the big names at the time. You had, I think it was Joe Calzaghe and Ricky Hatton fighting 1 week before and 1 week after me. And they were packing out arenas, Emian Arena, you know, Joe Calzaghe. They're both legitimate world champions, and everybody knew that. But it wasn't even about that. It was about the belts. It was about being that Ring Magazine champion. You know, I am officially the number 1 in the division. You know, I got offered a fight against Enzo Maccarinelli before this fight. Right. Frank Warren said, okay, you can. But you went this way. Yeah, so I could have got, he offered me, I don't know, what was it, probably 3 or 4 times more money per fight than I received for fighting Mormeck. I got peanuts for that fight. Yeah. But it wasn't about the money. It was about winning on my own terms and being free then to have the fight against Enzo Maccarinelli. Yeah. And so when I did beat him, and I did, you know, renegotiate the fight against Maccarinelli, it was a one fight deal, no option free, no rematches. And it was kind of on our terms. I mean, this was a battle of Britain, wasn't it? Billed as that, as such. 50-50, a lot of people. In people's minds. A lot of people said, yeah. But did you think it was? Did you have Maccarinelli's number? Did you think you had it before you got in the ring? Yeah, I always knew, because he had the type of style I enjoyed fighting. Somebody long range, big and tall. So he's made for you. I can see he's kind of tailor made for my style. He was the opposite to Mormeck in the sense of the type of the way he fought. And if you can ask me to pick my perfect opponent, it'd be someone like as tall as me or taller than me, long range, someone who likes to dip in with a left hook so I can hit him with that right hand down the pipe. And it kind of worked out exactly as I hoped. So you win that, but you do something that seems to come out of left field.
Now, you can't come out of left field in your minds because you're the one that said it. And immediately after the fight, I've cleaned up this division now. This is your quote. There are no more challenges left for me at cruiserweight. Bring on the big boys. Bring on Klitschko, bring on Samuel Peters, whoever's out there, which seems to have come as a complete surprise to your trainer and manager.
Yeah.
Explain that to me. I mean, you guys seem to be pretty symbiotic.
But Adam's focused on this fight. There's nothing beyond this fight. In Adam's mind, nothing happens if I get knocked out against Maccarinelli. All his energy is on, we have to get this victory. And after the fight, that's it. I knew I was going to win the fight, and I knew I was going to call out the heavyweights and just really, because I knew it was getting shown live on Showtime. Yeah. So I knew this was my opportunity to introduce myself to the American market. Right. And it was the perfect setup. Yeah. You know, they've been watching sort of boring fights with the Klitschkos. Yeah. Now they've got this unified cruiserweight champion who's calling them out, giving it all the gifts they get. And as a result of that, it really, really picked up some momentum.
This leads you to Valuev, who you said some pretty unkind things about.
Yeah.
I mean, you might be right. It might be technically accurate, but they weren't the kindest things I've ever seen. I've seen Lord of the Rings films.
Pay-per-view, Sky pay-per-view doesn't want nice.
Selling it.
They don't want polite. They don't want respectful. They want headlines. They want people to open a paper and hear some crap that you've said. And then at the bottom it says, to watch this fight live on Saturday night on...
But is that you though, David?
No, it's not me. It's not anybody. Nobody's...
But do you mind being like that?
It's
like a performing seal though, isn't it?
That's what...
Give them what they want.
That's entertainment. It's like saying that, every actor's a performing seal. They are, well, our boxers are. We get up there and fight people, put our life on the line. It's all a performance. And I could, if you take away all of the smack talk and all of the hype I put before the fight's going to be the fight. It doesn't ever affect the actual fight, but it means you either got a full stadium or a half full stadium, or you get 900,000 buys.
I hear you.
So it's like,
But does it bother you that as a result of those sort of things and those observations that people formulate a negative opinion? Does that bother you?
No, I need an opinion. The one thing you don't want in boxing is someone not to have an opinion. Yeah. What you want is someone to say, "What an absolute wanker." Yeah. I so hope it. I want him to lose so much. I'm going to pay £1,000 for a ringside seat. Say I was there when it happened. Or someone say, no, I really want to support. I want to pay £1,000 to watch it. That's what you don't want to be in the middle. You want to be one of both.
I get it. Valuev, you go into this fight. The fella's 7'2". Besides what he looks like, what was your thought process in this fight?
Don't get hit.
Right.
It's crazy. You could have the greatest game plan in the world, but if someone's 7 stone and a foot taller than you and they hit you with a right hand on the chin, you're going to sleep. Yeah. Plain and simple. No matter how limited his technical ability was, I couldn't allow myself to take
any shots,
any unnecessary shots. Yeah. Obviously, you're going to get hit as a 12-round box match. You're going to get hit. You're going to take that. But the fewer shots you take, the better your legs are. And the better my legs are, the more I can come in out of range, the more I can use this kind of raiding tactic style where I was aware that I was going to get no love with the judges. In Germany, I knew I was going to get no love. So I needed to make the rounds as clear cut as possible and land clean concussive punches whilst his clearly missed. And I was able to do that in all the rounds. Ironically, one judge had it even and the other 2 judges had me winning by, I think, 4 points. So I won the fight quite clearly.
You won it. Absolutely won it. When you win it, David, it is the culmination. You are now all the things that you envisaged that you would be, all the dreams that you had.
I promised everybody that I was since I was a little kid.
What was that like for you?
I don't ever wear new socks if you're going to have a boxing match. Boxers, don't ever do it. I put some new socks on. I bought some new socks. All of my feet were drenched in blood. All of the skin from underneath my feet was gone. I had an injured leg going into the fight, so I was in bits. And I had this belt, and I'm like, what's the thing? What am I supposed to feel now? Because I feel the same as I felt yesterday. But I'm the heavyweight. The thing that I've finally done it. It's like, now, what now? It was a strange feeling that the journey, I think Alan Watts said, you don't listen to music to wait for the final note. You dance and enjoy the song as it goes. Yeah. So it then comes down to, okay, have you enjoyed the journey of getting there? And yes, I enjoyed the journey of it. And it it was, I don't know what I was expecting. When you said you're going to do something from when you can remember, then you do it.
Yeah.
And everyone goes, you done it, pat on the back, great. Now what? Oh, right, okay, maybe I'll have more of a feeling if I unify the belts.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe, okay, so now we got to go and unify.
You must have been immensely proud of yourself.
I was proud of myself. I was proud. Everybody was proud. It ticked all the boxes. It was beautiful. Great time. Big thing when I came back to Gatwick Airport. There's all the fanfare, the interviews, blah blah blah.
And you loved
it was
that
beautiful. Yeah, I love all that stuff.
Yeah,
but it was, I'd done something I said I was going to do anyway, so it wasn't like it was a surprise. I always knew that was it. I've always envisaged myself being that, and that's it. So it's like, okay, it's not like all of a sudden I've done something. I've arrived at what I said I was going to do.
Yeah, I get it. No, I don't mean to be rude, David, but the next two fights that you have, I mean, John Ruiz.
It was the mandatory. I had to fight him.
You had to fight him.
I had to fight him. So I actually paid John Ruiz step-aside money. He was the mandatory to fight Valuev. Right. So we paid him step-aside money.
So then you had to fight him afterwards.
So then when I won, I gave him the immediate fight. Yeah, so that was that one.
Well, I'll leave that alone then.
Yeah.
Right. But Audley Harrison, fucking hell, mate.
Audley Harrison was Sky box office. Sky wanted the Audley Harrison fight. When it was first announced, I was
you're in control of your own destiny.
I'm in my, but I know I'm not. You're in control of the paymaster, the broadcaster. I only earn money.
You're the heavyweight champion.
I'm the heavyweight champion, but I only earn money if it's on at the time Sky box office. Yeah. That's the only way. And when they say you're fighting Audley Harrison, I say, you sure about that? I'm like, I don't think it's going to be a great fight. This is the one that we want. He's the European champion. He's ranked, and everybody knows who he is. Olympic gold medalist. Yeah. Everyone knows who he is. He's just knocked out Michael Sprott. So I'm like, okay, Audley Harrison
All I can do is go and knock him out. Yeah. Now, your alter ego kicks in again, and you're off with severed heads on fronts of T-shirts and calling out Klitschko's. Yeah. And you go into the Wladimir Klitschko fight. I remember watching. I was living in Spain at the time. I remember watching it, and I remember laughing at you. I don't mean that to sound rude, but the toe stuff that everyone was taking a piss out of. Talk me through this.
I got outboxed by a better fighter. He had a great game plan. I wrongly assumed what I was going to do would be enough to win. I'd had injuries in pretty much all of my fights, bar probably Maccarinelli. There'd always been an injury that's really held training up in one way or another, and I've always found a way to win. And I'm in there, and it was I'm hitting him, and he's leaned on me, and I'm moaning and complaining. I had to go. I watched his prior fights and watch how he uses his size very smartly, the way Lennox Lewis did. When someone's there, use your weight. You're the big guy. Get on top of him and lean and push him down.
Like Tyson Fury does now.
Tyson Fury does. I remember talking to the referee before the fights and showing him videos, and he does this. If he does that, what am I supposed to do? I landed some good shots, and he took the shots. He landed some good shots. I took the shots. And I'm thinking, when is he going to go? When am I going to get it together and be able to get him out of there? And it's gone into I'm in the last round, and it's the last round. I'm thinking, I haven't got to grip. I haven't been able to get to grips with him. It was very, very frustrating. And then in that last round, I hit him with a big shot, and he held. I thought, here we go. I've got him going now, and I'm really trying. He's holding, I'm pushing, I'm fighting. And that was it. Then there's the final bell, and I'm like, whoa. That's no good. Yeah. That's no good. I'm like, and then it's in the interviews, and he goes, what's around? I'm like, oh yeah, toes, broke my toe. That's why I couldn't push off it, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, whipped the toe out, and it was like, as much accolade as I got for winning the title and defending,
the ridicule
it's the opposite. It's the opposite.
Why do you think that was?
Energy. It's because that's life. Whatever high you get, there's a down. You got. I've learned over the years that you can have highs, but the higher highs you have, you're then going to get lows. But if it wasn't this, it would be someone could die. It'd be something. It's always something. So I want everyone to think you're great, and then pussy.
Do you look back at it now and think, I should have left the toe thing out of it. I should have just accepted that it was a dog shit performance. I wasn't where I wanted to be. There were various reasons for it, and I should get on with it.
I needed that. I needed the shitty feeling I had. I needed it. I needed it because I was too big-headed, and I thought I believed it,
right?
And I needed to get brought back down. I needed to get brought back down to earth.
What, by doing
and I
that?
needed,
No, and you got brought back down to earth by losing the fight.
Yeah, no, but it's outside of it.
In a way
That's
of
the
ridicule.
Fight. Yeah, but that's it. Nobody likes ridicule. I hate ridicule, but I have to accept it and just embrace it. There's nothing you can do. You can't change time.
But with the benefit of hindsight now, David, because you're
smart.
Okay,
now I've learned the lesson of what, if you are injured for a fight and you lose,
just get on with it.
Just get on with it. Don't let anybody know. Don't, just, it is what it is. Let them,
because it changed the perception of you a little bit, didn't it? And it opened you up to something that was, if you had a legitimate injury, then you had a legitimate injury. And people don't want to know about injuries. They don't care.
No, they don't. You give it all to Big Un. You say you're going to punch his head off so much and kick his head into the third row. You give it all that. You got the T-shirt. You got all these people coming over to Germany to do a job, and you flop. You're going to get the stick, and that's it. I got fucking mad abuse, and it was horrible. And that's it. But I've got the highs and I've got the lows, and that was my journey.
You can cope with it.
I could, otherwise, what are you going to do? What are you going to do?
Absolutely, I'm with you, mate.
And it was very, very painful, but the loss alone
was painful enough.
Was painful,
right?
The other. Did
you feel losing? I mean, you arrived at the heavyweight title. You got your destiny, and it kind of felt like not so much is that it, but I've done what I said I was going to do. Did you feel losing the heavyweight title more than you felt winning it?
There was more emotion for sure. Yeah, losing on such an epic level. Really was like, it's like now I really need to prove myself. Now, okay. When you're in with someone, when you're fighting someone, I can kind of get a feel for people. I can kind of get a feel for how good someone is. And Wladimir
was
top draw.
Yeah.
But I definitely feel on a different day with different circumstances, different referee, it might be different, or he might knock me out. I don't know. But I had to be at peace with that and think, okay, he won't give me a rematch. We wanted the rematch. They're like, no, we're not a rematch. Then we started talking to Vitaly. So we talked to Vitaly about having a fight, and it was all good. I think the money was agreed, everything was sorted. Then he was fighting Derek Chisora. He was fighting Derek Chisora. So I went to do the commentary for that.
Remember.
And then after the fight, I went there to call out Vitaly and say, dude, we got the agreement, we got the date, why have you gone quiet with Bernd Bunter? Then they said there was the issue, and they said, okay, if you fight Chisora, we'll fight you after that. And that's
so
when
you
that
have this
started.
situation, this well-publicized situation where you get yourself involved in an altercation. And again, it doesn't feel like, I mean, everyone knows what it was. You and Derek had a fight. He took the piss out of you about your toe. It got fucking Larry. You hit him with a tripod. You buy him a car. Right? Everyone falls together and everyone's happy now, right? But I'm more interested because that's a well-rehearsed speech, and it's also part of your alter ego, and you're doing it to create attention, right?
I didn't do that whole episode.
No, I know, but
that wasn't. I was there for. I did zero interest.
Going to a pre-fight, a post-fight press
It was
conference.
for Vitaly. It was for Vitaly. Yeah,
but you're involved, right?
Yeah,
and you're there, and so you're drawing attention to yourself, right?
Yeah, I wanted attention.
That's my point.
I wanted attention.
So then you end up with a fight with Chisora, and this is the point I'm curious about because you bash up Chisora, knocked him out convincingly. And you're now back on a pathway, and it doesn't seem to manifest itself. You get into a potential fight with Tyson Fury, and
we signed the fight. It was all agreed. Tickets sold. It was
and that involves press conferences, which were brilliant press conferences. Where I think you got shut up. There
were pay-per-view press conferences, which made everyone had an opinion.
Yeah, they were.
He was the perfect guy.
Yeah, and he did you up at the presser, and I thought that you didn't expect to see what was coming from him, and you had to deal with it, right?
I knew he was Larry. That's why he was the guy that we were fighting.
Unawares with that one because I watched it, and then I watched the ringside one, and I thought he's done him again. I've watched it again recently. I thought no, actually not. Because he was clever with the Usain Bolt comments and stuff like that, and I thought, but actually when I look back on it, with Mick Hennessy and him with Adam and the dynamic between Adam and yourself and the way you two were connected, and it felt to me that it was less of the showmanship side of things was people look back on it and think, well, actually Tyson Fury did you over. I don't think he did. But the fights don't happen. And you're injured again. And Fury goes off and says that you were fucking to be relied on. It's costing IBF ranking situations. And you talked about Fury at that time. And You said he's ungainly, he trips over his feet, he doesn't know what he's doing, and he sort of agreed with that. When you look back at that, and you look 2 years later, Fury goes and does a number, and he did a number on Klitschko, right? When you were fighting, when you were signed to fight Fury, did you ever envisage, did you think Fury was that good and would likely go on and do what he did 2 years later?
No, never in a million years. I looked at his fight. I remember I was at his fight against John McDermott. I thought John McDermott beat him. Yeah, I was there ringside. I remember thinking
a lot of people think that.
Anyways, then he fights Steve Cunningham, who was a cruiserweight, who was a non-punching cruiserweight, who knocks him down. I was supposed to fight him after that. I remember watching that fight, thinking, okay, this is I know how to beat big guys. I like fighting big guys. I'm faster than he is. He's a bit ungainly. So I'll chin him, no problem. And I would never have thought he would have then gone on to do as amazingly well as he has with a fight against Wilder. I thought he was going to get smashed in the fight against Deontay Wilder, the first fight. I watched his two comeback fights, and he fighting nobodies, and then he goes in against Wilder. So that shows that he fights to the level of his opponents.
But at the time, okay.
Yeah, so he raises his game when he needs to.
At 2013, you were having none of him.
No, 2013, he wasn't the fighter he was, when he got in the ring against her, because he's learnt those lessons, he's matured, and he's a big guy, and he works hard.
Well, you've got a strange relationship. I'm going to come back to what happens to you next, but you've got a strange relationship with the Furies. I mean, John Fury seems to the needle with you, calls you a hater, and you are quite critical of them. And when I've seen you do commentaries, there seems to be, I don't have this view, there seems to be this feeling that you have a preordained bias against the Furies. Does that emanate from the 2013 experience where
it definitely affected it? Yeah,
You're supposed to be objective, David.
I've got a big cut over my eye. And he then kicks off, I cut myself, I did this, blah, 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 blah. Then I have a shoulder reconstruction on my right shoulder. And once again, I pulled out again, he's scared, blah, blah, blah. So I didn't hear the end of these pullouts when they were like very bad injuries. Coincidentally, years later, he gets a cut before his big fight. And it's like, now you know how it feels. But you don't know what you don't know. And, I understand, his dad... obviously, he loves his boy. He wants the best for his boy, and he doesn't like anyone saying anything that isn't 100%. Tyson Fury is the greatest human who's ever done it. And that's what I find it quite sweet. I find it quite sweet, the fact that he's that passionate, screaming at anybody, headbutting people.
Headbutting people.
Yeah. I'm like, it was sweet up until he started headbutting people.
But you don't fight again then for 2.5 years.
3.5 years.
3.5 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Why is that? You talked to me.
Yeah, but
you're a fighter, and you always like to fight.
I had a big shoulder surgery, and it was just recovering from that. I couldn't throw my right hand. It took a long time to get it back firing. Right. And in 2016, January 2016. I had a fight in against the O2 Arena. Mark Demori had a good record. He wasn't very good.
He's the one that got filled in recently. In Saudi Arabia.
Exactly.
By Hrgovic.
Because my whole thing is, I wanted to regain after losing the belts. I've now got this drive. I've got to win them back. Yeah, that's my mission. I have to win the belts back. Whoever the champion is, I'm gonna find a belt to beat somebody somewhere, and to get there, I've got to knock some people out.
Adam Booth's not with you.
No, Adam was with me.
Is that because Adam Booth knows that the sequence of injuries that you've had?
Possibly, yeah. I think our relationship kind of once the body started breaking down. He's got other fighters. He's doing other things. I'm here, there, everywhere, and it's just that we went our separate ways.
I mean, I'm going to ask you a blunt question, David, and you might not like it, but I'll ask it. My understanding of the main reason why you came back to fight again.
When was this?
When you come back and you start fighting Mark Demori, and
I've been trying, but you got to go back to that. I hadn't. So what happened was I had an operation that was potentially career ending. But my intention was never to retire. I then did a press release. If you read back that press release, I said, I've been told I have a potentially career-ending, I'm coming back from it. But in the back of my mind, I still had a training camp set up. I was still training to get back.
Do you know in your body physically that you're not where you once were?
When
you've had this surgery? Because
I was uncertain because you only know what you're like under the lights when it matters. So I'd never stopped training. I still had my gym. I was training every day. I was working with different coaches, kept it super private, because what I didn't want to do is to announce people, I'm coming back. So I'd been training, sparring. And in 2016 is when I got the opportunity, and I think a couple of months before that, I said, I'm going to make a comeback. The date's already sorted. Here we are. This is the opponent.
And these were the opponents, right?
And these were the opponents. But the plan was to fight the world champion, was to fight, I think it was, at the time, I think it was Antony Joshua. I think Antony Joshua was coming from, he was young. So in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, okay, look, I could see stuff within him that if I can get back to what I mean, I can then win that title back and do what I've always said. Well, since I lost to Wladimir, I wanted to be the heavyweight champion then, because I didn't. That wasn't me on that night.
Because you're drawn in, because what I had understood and heard, and this is something you can, was that commercially you'd made certain investments in your life that had left you in an economic position that you needed to fight.
I've made some crap financial decisions, but trust me,
I'm giving you a lecture.
Whether those decisions, whether those investments would have times 10 or went to nothing, I would have still had the fight. My whole drive was winning the heavyweight title.
So you didn't come back because it was money?
No, I didn't earn any money from those fights. Those comeback fights weren't for dough. They were tune-ups to fight for the title. Because I know by fight for the title, I'm now achieved my goal. And one thing fighters got to realise is, if you aim at money, if you try to fight for money, it doesn't work. You end up thinking about the wrong things. You got to fight for the titles and glory, and the better you do and the more you promote yourself, that just comes as a byproduct of it. And I've always understood that.
And I agree with you. And I say that to young footballers: be good at what you do, and the money will follow.
And it will just come and come. Right. So I've never gone into a fight I didn't believe I could win. And every fight I've ever gone into, I've gone into for a reason to get me to the title fight. For instance, the fight against Tony Bellew. The fight after that would have been Antony Joshua.
Well, that's what I'm going to ask you, right? I mean, you get drawn into this situation with Bellew, right? He fights BJ Flores.
It wasn't draw. I didn't get drawn into anything. We understood between us. Right. We knew what we were doing.
Okay, because that's the point I'm going to make. Yeah. Tony said to me, I looked across the ring and I saw dollar signs when I saw David Haye.
And we knew what was good. We knew what was happening. He's a very, very. He's a smart guy. He understands boxing. He gets the theatre of it. He was in Cree. He's a great actor. He knows how, and he understood. Yeah, fighting me is pay-per-view. Yeah. Him fighting anybody else at that time wasn't. He's going to give me 50 feet. He's going to come back at me, and what that will do, it will prove to the pay-per-view, it will prove to Sky Box Office that me now fighting for the world title would make big dough, and that's what the heavyweight.
By being a cruiserweight?
Yeah, by being a cruiserweight, yeah.
Really?
It's not the fighter, it's how many pay-per-view buys they do. If I fought some guy on non-pay-per-view show and he was ranked number 2 in the world and it didn't generate anything, I wouldn't get the shot. The fact that we did 850 buys or whatever, 850,000 buys, whatever it was, it justified a world title fight. But I lost the fight.
But the outcomes of the fight were not what you expected.
No.
But also the manner in which you conducted yourself. You were, I think it was fair to say, at it in the press conferences. I don't know what you called the Liverpool fans, rats or whatever you called them.
I laid it on real thick. I laid it on real thick. That was really fun. That was. I genuinely enjoyed that whole build up because it was really fun. And I loved it. I loved the theatre of the whole thing. I love going up to Liverpool and screaming, and everyone's going, hey! It really whipped everybody up. You know, all the guys from London, and they honestly, it was the perfect balanced, beef that you could possibly get. It was beautiful.
Interestingly, out of that fight, because I remember watching it. I stood.
You couldn't not watch it. If you were a boxing fan, you had to be there for that fight.
That's true.
It was sold out. It was the highest grossing boxing match at the O2 at that time. Maybe it's got more. Yeah.
It was an article written about that fight, and I wondered how it made you feel. I don't know if you ever saw it. A guy called Kevin Mitchell. He called it your greatest night. He talked about the courage and the bravery that it took you to drag your battered and aging body across the ring, and how you refused to be beaten, and how you got up, and even when it came to the position in the fight where you were climbing out through the ropes. When someone says that your greatest night is in that defeat, what do you fucking think today?
That's the ultimate for a boxer fan. He fought to the bitter end, every last breath. It's like, you can't allow, you've just got to do what you do. I remember watching Danny Williams when he fought Mark Potter and his right shoulder got dislocated in the fight.
And he came through it.
Yeah. And I remember during the fight, I remember thinking, this is my chance. Because I've never had a situation where something's completely gone
against all
and
the
you've
odds.
got to figure it out.
Against all the odds.
And when my leg went, it's like, this is it. This is my Danny Williams night, and I'm going to find a way. And I'm going to try everything I can. And at no stage in that fight did I not think I was going to knock him out at some stage. And that was, it was, watching it back, I'm like, God damn, that was a bit mental. Because I could have just stood on my stool and said, okay, yeah. But obviously, fighting on a fully ruptured Achilles tendon doesn't actually help your Achilles tendon at all.
I get it, mate.
It's not nice.
Did you think in this calculating mind of yours, which is smart, that you could win a rematch, or did you think I'm going to get paid a lot of money here?
In my head, I should have been knocked out in the 6th round or the 5th round, the 6th round. Once I was on one leg, I thought, if you can't knock me out on one leg, when I got 2 legs, it's a walk in the park. And I took his best punches. It wasn't any one shot they hit me when I was out. I was feeling his right hands. He's got punch power, but there was no one shot that he hit me with that buckled my leg. Right. I wasn't even 2 legs. It wasn't one leg. So I remember thinking, okay, if I could last till 11th round, I think if the referee wouldn't have thrown a towel in, I'd have probably lasted the distance, but we'll never know. And it was very frustrating, but I thought once my leg's fine, I'll get him in a rematch. Right. I understand him. I rushed the first couple of rounds. I went out, tried too hard. Didn't maybe respect him as much as I should have done. Tried to put the pressure on. Fight? No, in the first fight. In the first fight, I just went out there and I didn't see him as a threat, if that makes sense. I should have done.
As a legitimate challenge.
But I didn't. I'd never seen anything in his previous fights where I thought, oh, that'll beat me.
Right.
But after being in with him, he's a very effective. No flash, but his substance. He's got a lot of substance behind it. So by the time I got in for that second fight, in a fight which I even... after having a snapped Achilles tendon, a snapped left bicep, I was still 100% confident that finally I would go out there and do it right. And that was the only time I've ever been in a ring where when you're playing the computer game of my life, when I'm pressing the buttons, I can do the special move. Yeah. The special move wasn't happening. Right. And in the first round, I remember he threw like a shot from out of range, and the shot was there to end it. And I remember it just, nothing happened. And so I thought, okay, it will come again. I think that was one of the only times he gave me a shot, and it happened really early in the fight. And next thing you know, I'm on the floor, I'm getting hit with shots. It felt like it was a bad dream. And I've had one of my nightmares is being in a fight, a combat, and not being able to do what it is that I do. That's my nightmare. And I finally started living my nightmare. Right. I wasn't in control of the flow of it. I wasn't in control at all in any way. My feints were, everything just felt flat and wrong. And that was it. It was like, okay, that's it. It's done.
Jobs. That's the end of it. Did it feel bad for you to finish your career on a defeat? Could you close that compartment and go, well, it was what it was, structurally, physically, anatomically. I'm at a position now where I can't do this anymore.
For a couple of years, I'd say for a couple of years I was, and then obviously reflecting on it, I think when your body heals, my power is in my lower legs. People don't realize this. They think it's because I've got a big right hand. But the right hand wouldn't be there if my legs weren't quick enough to get in and out. And my fingers have been able to spring in a range. I can do these one-legged bounds over skips. I'm very, very plyometrically gifted. And then that's what I've been able to incorporate into my style. After losing to Bellew, it felt like the door had shut. So it wasn't like I'm gutted about it. I know Tony, he's a great guy. He's a lovely fella.
I know he is.
Real nice. And if once again, he's like Carl Thompson. If there's anyone that, you're going
to lose to.
He's a nice guy, family man, proper good guy. Yeah. And it's like, okay.
So it closed the chapter for you.
It closed the chapter for it.
And you now move on into another chapter in your life, right? And one of the things I'm interested in...
Kind of closed it. It's not fully closed.
Meaning?
If I can get my lower legs to do what I know they can do, which they weren't able to do for probably since 2016. If my lower legs can do the things I need them to do, I could beat a lot of the guys out there.
In the heavyweight division?
In the heavyweight division, for sure.
Are you being serious, David?
100% serious.
You want some Saudi money?
No, I don't want any money. What I want is hopefully this computer game that I'm playing.
In your mind?
In my mind, if I can get my lower legs to be able to do what I need to do, it then works its way up and I'll be able to then do the things that I need to do. But I'm not stupid enough to think that after all all of these years, I can jump in against Antony Joshua or any of those guys, I will get squashed.
Right.
But if I could go through training camps,
are you serious?
I'm 100%. I'm telling you, I'm serious. If I could, this is a hypothetical. If I could go through training camps, I couldn't do a 12 round fight camp. Physically impossible right now. My body would just break down. But I could do a camp for a 6-rounder or an 8-rounder against a certain type of opponent who I'd need certain type of sparring partners for.
Is that what you're going to do? Is that what you're going to do then?
Only if my lower legs keep going the way they're going, they go in the right time. If that can happen.
What's the point of this? You're saying something for a reason.
No, I'm not saying a reason.
Yes, you fucking will are.
No. What I'm saying is I'll never get into a ring and fight if I don't 100% believe I can win. I don't believe right now, sitting here, I could do a training camp and beat any of the top 10 heavyweights. You know how bad you think they are, because I wouldn't be able to get myself in 12. I know what it takes to get in 12-round shape, and it doesn't happen in 12 weeks. It happens in 2 years, happens in a year and a half, building gradually. I'd have to fight 4 times a year.
Take you up to 45.
Take me up to 45. George Foreman was heavyweight champion.
I know.
He changed his style. He adapted stuff.
Is this money, or is it because you miss boxing?
It's the same. The feeling that I had from losing the belts and trying. So if you knew, I've documented everything as well. So I've got all of this story documented of me training the whole way through, coming back, and the injuries, ups and downs. I haven't gone into half of it. But if this lower leg can get to a position where I can do the training that's required to build,
you're going to do it.
Why would you not? I'm going to die one day. I'm going to die. We're all going to die one day.
Long time stopped, I get it.
Long time stopped.
I'll be interested to see. I mean, I sat here 9-10 months ago, Billy Joe Saunders telling me he's going to fight again.
He's a young man, though.
That's my point.
Yeah.
And here we are. But listen, talk to me about, for the closing part of this now, you're nearly through the ordeal, the current heavyweight division, the current landscape. Fury, Usyk, Joshua. I'm talking to Derek Chisora, your old mate, who you work with, strangely promoted and managed. And I was talking to Derek Chisora, and he talks about when Joshua beats Brawl this Saturday, and then the Fury Usyk opportunities. And the bottom line is, where are you on the Antony Joshua phenomenon? I mean, a lot of people thought he was done a year ago. Did you think he was done?
No, I didn't think he was done at all. Once again, some people need to learn from getting it wrong. And not everybody's, Usyk who gets it right every time. He lives the life. He does what he needs to do. He's got that amateur pedigree. Although they're both Olympic gold medalists, if you look at the amount of amateur fights that Usyk had versus Antony Joshua, he's had a lot more, hundreds more fights than Antony Joshua. So stylistically and technically, he's superior. But what Ben Davison's seemingly done is finally built a style around Antony Joshua's attributes. And up until this point, up until he started working with Ben Davison, I don't think he had. I think they say, right, put your hands here, jab here. They kind of taught him how you would teach about what are your strengths, what are your skills. Let's build a style around what you do well. And I think finally he's able to put the right shots together at the right time. He has preset punch sequences that are devastating. He rehearses and waits for the trigger. Bam, bam, bam. People go to sleep. He was trying to have a boxing match against a superior boxer. And as somebody who's a superior boxer, you don't have a boxing match with him. You get him into a position, you use your strengths and you drill him right down the middle and don't let him go put cluster punch together, because Usyk won't want to start mixing it with him in close, unless Antony Joshua does what he did in the past. But I think he's learned that lesson 2 times in a row. And he's a much, much better fighter for losing those fights than he would if he would have won them. Because if he'd have won them, he wouldn't have got a new coach. He wouldn't have had a new outlook. And I think he's as good as he's the fighter now that, many years ago he was. This new Antony Joshua would have smoked the old Antony Joshua in 1 round.
Is that what you're saying?
Plain and simple.
Right. Because
this version, 1 round, 2 rounds max, he would have took him. He would have took him out. So set him up. He sets shut up. People don't realize he's setting everything up.
Right.
Everything's strategized. Everything's sequenced.
And this is the Ben Davison effect.
This is the Ben Davison. He understands it in a similar way that I used to box. He's starting to understand what his attributes are and implement them into his strategy and his game plan. opposed to bouncing around jab
thing,
right and hitting the pads.
The big thing, David, every fighter I spoke to, everyone that came in here and sat in this chair, spoke about the fact that they believed that lights had gone out for Antony Joshua, and that not the physical attributes or the ability to execute, but psychologically, he was now a damaged brand that didn't want to go into the dark places that you guys have to go into to win fights. The fighter that lost Usyk in the second fight would not do what the fighter did against Klitschko, to get off the canvas and dig deep, and didn't want to put himself in range and put himself at risk. And now we've seen him fight Jermaine Franklin, we've seen him fight Helenius, we've seen him fight Otto Wallin, and we've seen him do what to Ngannou, which Fury should have done, right? Which re-established the credibility of heavyweight boxing, in my view, because I thought that was fucking embarrassing, that sequence of events, right? Did you think that at the time that light had gone out, or did you just think this was an opportunity for him to rebuild?
If anything, it turned the light on.
Right.
I think it done the opposite. I don't think it exposed him in any way. I just think he got it wrong. He just got it wrong. Tactically, he was in with a great fighter. Usyk, top draw, real top draw guy, good guy. What can you possibly say negative in any way? If he retired now, never fought anyone else. Very true. That's it. He would go down as one of the all-time greats on paper and in reality. You'd give him a shot against pretty much anybody on his day. So he's definitely up there. But Antony Joshua's chances of beating Usyk now, after losing twice, are so much higher than they were before. Because the knowledge and understanding of how to get it wrong. He knows how to get it wrong. And he now knows how to get it right. Yeah. And that's it. And he's been practicing it. Now, for the Jermaine Franklin fight, I was thinking, what's happening here? Yeah. I couldn't understand what was happening. And then the next fight against Wallin, I liked what he did against Wallin, picked his shots, took his time once again, but different people learn how to implement a game plan in different ways. He might not pick it up straight away in the first round and go out and do it. He eases into it. He gets comfortable in the ring. And, against Ngannou, that for me is like, although Ngannou is not a boxer, he showed that he's got something to go to beat Tyson Fury, in my opinion, when they fought. I agree. But the way that AJ dealt with that is exactly how someone who's fully engaged with his anatomy and physiology will do. And that's just drill him down the middle. Plain and simple, feint, bang, bang, good night. And I was like, yeah, that's that. Although it wasn't against a boxer with a great record, it just showed me he was connected.
Is this the best version of Antony Joshua then?
100%. Best version of Antony Joshua.
So what do you expect to see on Saturday against Dubois?
If the version of Dubois who fought Hrdovich turns up, I think he has a very, very hard night.
Who does? Anthony?
No, I think Dubois.
Because he got hit so many times.
He took too many right hands. Right. He was eating right hands all night. Yeah. Dubois got a great chin, fantastic chin. No one can question his chin. He ate some right hands, and Hrdovich is a good fighter.
Has he got a quit in him, Daniel?
He has quit. Whether he has quit or not, he has stopped the fight before. He had more in him. Did you think he quit against Usyk? I don't think. I just think he was out. I think he didn't know what to do. Out of gas. Yeah. He had a good go, energy dump, and it was all going wrong for him. And Usyk is just a great fighter. Right. Against Joyce, he was winning the fight on points. I was there. At that point, I was there as well. Yeah. He was winning the fight up until that point. Ruptured eye socket. I've never had a ruptured eye socket, but I heard it's not very nice. But it allows him. Some people dug him out for that, and I understand that. You did. Did I dug him out? What did I say? What did I say? You said he quit. I didn't say. I don't think I said. You did. I don't think. I think you got to look. I think you got to look the tight. I think that was Carl Frampton was doing it with me. Oh, it doesn't matter. You still did it. I don't think I did. I'm pretty sure I didn't. I'm pretty sure. I think we should get stewards on this one. We'll put that one in park. All right. Do you think that Fury can beat Usyk in the second fight? Of course he can. Any heavyweight. Do you think he will? I don't think he will, but I think he has the capabilities. And Usyk, it wasn't an easy fight for him. That fight, I thought he won the fight pretty clearly. He did. But at his age, was he 37 now? 36, 37? Yeah, but he's a perfect 37, isn't he? He's a perfect 37 who's had lots and lots of training camp, lots of sparring. He's had many, many amateur fights. So on paper, if you look at all the rounds he's boxed, all the punches he's taken, that is a lot of wear and tear. At some stage, you get old and you can't. All it takes is the same way it took once my lower legs stopped working, my ability went down. Once his reaction time diminishes a fraction of a second, he's now catching that jab and not slipping that jab. Yeah. That may happen with Tyson Fury. In the first fight? Who'd you pick for the first fight? I mean, with Fury and Usyk. I picked Usyk.
Did you?
Yeah, I didn't pick him.
Is that because you're being objective and not because you've got an agenda against
I didn't
Fury?
pick him to stop him. I didn't pick him to stop him. I thought he'd win on points. I thought incorrectly that Usyk would outbox him. I thought Tyson Fury would be the one coming at him, and he'll get picked apart. But it went the complete other way. Usyk, he said it in an interview. He said, "I'm going to be on you. I won't let you go. I won't let you go. Or I won't leave you alone." And that's exactly what he did. And I don't think Tyson was mentally prepared for this guy. He thought he was going to have to chase him around, I think. And it just went the complete opposite way. So I think he'll know that in the next fight. Right. Has he lived a life? You know, did he go back to the drawing board straight away? I can't believe I lost. Let's do it. Or did he drown his sorrows for a month or 2 or 5? I don't know.
Well, we know the answer. Don't we?
Yeah. But all of this tallies up. He has the ability. He's a big, strong, athletic guy who's got a great chin. He's got a dig. He can do it. He's proven it in the past.
Yeah.
But can he conjure it up one more time? If I'm a betting man, I'll bet with Usyk, the guy who's kind of lived the life.
When you look at Usyk, when you think about yourself, how would you have gone against him?
I remember watching his fight against Tony Bellew. And that was after my fight. So I'm there, I'm hoping, I'm there with Tony, hoping he pulls this one off. And
really?
Yeah. I wanted him to beat Usyk, and he was beating him. I thought he's cracked it. He wasn't rushing. He was set on the back leg. He was picking his shots. He was outboxing the boxer. But people don't realize that Tony Bellew wasn't in his prime when he beat me. Mm-hmm. His prime was probably 4 or 5 years ago. And the pace that's required at that Usyk level to maintain, it's hard to maintain it when you're not in your prime. But the fact that he was able to land that right hand on Usyk as much as he did, and I punch a lot harder than Tony Bellew, in my opinion, I would have gone into that fight with a lot of confidence. I would have had to have been at my best. I'd had to have been the night I fought Enzo Maccarinelli, for instance. That night, I think, if I'd done the load of southpaw sparring, that would have been my best chance. Not actually heavyweight, believe it or not. Even with Usyk being 225 pounds or whatever he was, I would have still preferred to come in at around 200. So I was lively.
200?
So 200 pounds, 205 pounds. Yeah. That would have been my other weight. Because he's not a natural heavyweight,
right? And
I wouldn't be mixing it with him. It would be a long range fight. It'd have been a great fight. I'd have loved to have had that fight. I fought a big, tall Ukrainian southpaw, Oleksandr Gurov, chinned him in 45 seconds. But not quite the same thing. But that would have been. He's a warrior. I love warriors. I like guys who
you admire him.
I admire him so much. Yeah. He's such a what you can't not love him.
No.
If you're a fighting
and he's
fan,
very dignified as well.
Dignified, doesn't give all the crap. Doesn't matter. I appreciate people appreciating him for his ability, and he's been able to get the rewards without all of the bullshit hype that I had to do or other fighters have to do. He doesn't need to do it. He's let his skills do the talking. So for me, that's like, A1.
Yeah. Where are you on Saudi? Do you like this idea? Do you think it's a good thing? Do you buy into it all?
I think it's the best thing for boxing since all of the YouTubers started getting into boxing.
You like that, did you?
Yeah, I liked what it did for boxing. I like the fact that you've now got a lot younger demographic who wouldn't be interested in boxing at all, only interested because KSI and Jake Paul and you've got hundreds of millions of people around the world who wouldn't be interested in boxing at all. These guys could have played darts, and now darts would be the biggest thing. But they did boxing, thank God, because now you've got a lot of young fighters wanting to do boxing, wanting to have these different promotions, but it's just more eyeballs, more pay-per-view, more interest. And the fact that now you've got the Saudi situation where the promoters who usually hold the power because they're the guys direct with the television are now bringing their fighters together, let the best fight the best. Everyone's getting paid, fantastic, great news. It's the best thing to happen, because if Saudi hadn't put this big investment in boxing, and that's what it is, they don't earn any money from the shows. They're losing money on the shows, but it's okay because they're building something. They're building something out there.
But it does also skew the landscape. It means that the fighters get an expectation of how much they should get paid.
Great. I love it.
But if the only place you can deliver that in, Dave, is in Saudi, it means that everyone else fucking can't compete. Does that not worry you a little bit?
You've got to remember, the fighters are putting their lives on the line. They could die in the ring. It could be their last. Every fight could be a fighter's last fight. And if you're a rock climber, you love rock climbing. You like rock climbing in England. but you're doing free climbing, so you could fall and die. You could do this one over here for 200 grand. The risk is the same, or go to Saudi and do it and get 10 million. Yeah. What are you going to do? But what you're going to do is just plain and simple. When your life's on the line, people, it's a sport, yeah, but it's real life. And the value that fighters are getting currently from this connection, it's not just in Saudi. They have it in Los Angeles. They're doing one on
London,
Saturday,
potentially in China as well.
So I'm saying it's not just in Saudi. It's stimulating the boxing economy.
But it's only Saudi money.
I don't care where the money. I don't care as long as the money goes into the boxers' bank accounts. That's the only thing I care about, and I think it's a good thing. I think that boxers over the years may not have got a fair percentage of what they themselves have generated. Yeah. Now they're getting more than what they would have generated, and I'm like, great! What a great time to be in big time boxing.
Enough. Last question for you, two-tiered. How do you look back on your career? I know you're saying you might fight again, but as it stands at this moment in time, how do you look back on it? And how would you like people to look back on you?
I look back.
You're not dead, by the way, but I'm just talking about your boxing career.
I look back on my career. The public looking in see it a certain way, but they don't know what happened behind. I know what happened behind, so I know I had as many fights as I physically could have. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people, when they see a gap, if you look at the last 10 fights I had, it's like one fight a year on average, if you take out that gap in the three. So I didn't fight that regular, but I could only fight when I could physically fight. And I know that. No one else knows that. So I did the best I could. I trained as hard as I could train. I never ducked anybody. I always went after the toughest option. I look back at it and it's an exciting roller coaster, up and down. Yeah. Exciting roller coaster. Very few fights I had where people felt shortchanged. I had a couple, but the majority of them they got their money's worth. And I left it in the ring as much as I could have done.
And how would you like people to think of you? That.
Nah, I care about the purists and people who know boxing. Right. That's the opinion I really care about. Someone else could read the headline and go, "Oh, he does this." I don't care about that. The people who actually understand boxing, know the fact that what I went through and losses and coming back and winning, they're the people I care about. People who understand boxing, because if you do understand boxing, it's hard to not respect what I've done. The second fighter to become cruiserweight and heavyweight champion, fighting the biggest ever heavyweight champion, or going to foreign soil to win my world titles. I didn't have a big promoter backing me, pulling the strings and manipulating how a lot of other fighters have been able to get to the promised land. So I did it on my own terms. I could have done it better for sure, but I did what I could do at the time. And I can only be proud of what I've done. And it's been fun. I enjoyed the journey. I enjoyed the dance. I enjoyed the dance of the song, and hopefully it continues.
Well done, mate.
Thank you very much.
Enjoyed talking to you. Thanks for being so upfront.
Likewise.
Well done, mate. Up Front with me, Simon Jordan, is brought to you by William Hill. For new weekly shows, subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can find audio episodes on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. 18 plus. Please gamble responsibly.